make it rain, I make it rain. They said it's raining in the gym, it's raining in the gym, it's raining in the gym, it's raining in the gym. Rainmaker from the corner, Ricky Bobby from the post. Rainmaker from the corner, Ricky Bobby from the post.
What's going on, folks? This is K.Spade, the prospect, the big blue Chevy driver, sometimes referred to as the YouTube MVP, and I am back with my NBA 2K14 wish list, Crew Mode Part 2. Now, if you missed Part 1, I'm going to put a clickable annotation on the screen right about here that you guys will see if you're watching on PC, and if you're not, it's cool, just go to the description. I have a link to Part 1 in the description. Part 1 was more along the lines of cosmetics and the actual build-up of Crew Mode. If it sounds like something you want to see, by all means, please check it out. I think it was a pretty good video, if I don't say so myself. Now, I promise you guys that Part 2 would be more along the lines of gameplay, and then working on the list and watching some videos trying to find footage, I realized that the gameplay for Crew Mode in NBA 2K11 was pretty good. It was really tight. And don't get me wrong, nothing is perfect, so I'm sure we could find some areas to improve, but for the most part, the gameplay was on point. What was bad was the actual searching of a game, the pre-game lobbies, and these things. So that's kind of where I want to start this wish list. Now, don't get me wrong, I know this is not the blacktop wish list, but I've even noticed a decline in the online experience for blacktop. You know, it's harder to get into games now. It's more getting kicked out of games, freezing. And I really just want to challenge 2K to just work on that online experience all the way around. I'm sure we all could agree on that, all right? Now, if you have played Crew Mode, you guys know we would spend hours, I mean literally hours, searching for a game. It was ridiculous. And this is where the ideas kind of came from. People was like, maybe while we're waiting on a game, we could have a practice mode and we could be playing while we're waiting on a game. And that sounds fine, but the fact of the matter is, you shouldn't be waiting that long for a game. You just shouldn't be. So yeah, let's start right here. When you go into Crew Mode, when you get in the screen, this is the screen you see. For anybody who has never played Crew Mode, this is what you see. And this screen is very cool, it's very informative. I want to see some things added to it, right? First of all, before we even get into that, when you go into Crew Mode, the game asks you, would you like to load a My Player? Because you can play with a My Player or you can play with a regular NBA player. The first thing that has to be fixed, if someone loads a My Player, that My Player should be a mandatory starter. There is no option to have the NBA player show in and then you bring some beast off the bench later. I don't like that. That's unfair. I don't care if he's a 99. I don't care if he's a 50. If you load him up, he's the starter. The only option you should have is taking him out of the game. And this lets everybody know this is kind of playing cards face up, so to speak. There's no secrets in what you're hiding on the bench. I want to see what's there. I want to see what I'm playing against. I want to know whether or not you're cheesing me or what, all right? And I think everybody can agree with that unless you're a cheeser. Now, the next thing you would see is My Player's height and you would see his rating. I like that. But what should be added to it, I want to see his height, his weight, his rating, and his individual DNF percentage, all right? More on that in a minute. Another addition to this area of the game that would be great, uniform options. If you spent the VC and tricked out your uniforms and you got multiple uniforms, this would be where you choose your home, your away, and if you got the VC to do it, maybe even an alternate jersey right here. And also, this might catch you off guard, but playbook options. Like I'm saying, I want to see height and weight. Let's suppose you see you're facing a team that's running a small lineup, a small, fast lineup. You might not want to run the same set of plays that you normally run, you know? This would give you the ability to somewhat change it on the fly. You could change it in 2K11, but you went into the settings and you picked what team playbook you wanted to run with, and it just kind of stayed there. Like you can say, oh, we're facing these guys, let's switch. So this would give you that. Now this next thing, I think you should be able to choose at this screen play calling abilities. In the past, the point guard was the only player on the team that could call offensive and defensive plays. That was okay for some crews. What about crews that didn't really have a point guard? Or situations where, like for me, my point guard might get kicked. Now the rest of the game, we're stuck in whatever defense we was in when he got kicked. It doesn't give you the ability to adjust on the fly, which, let's be honest, that's not basketball. Like, you don't come out in real life and say, we're running this, on defense and this on offense, go play 4 quarters. Basketball is more of a chess match, and depending on what you're doing, I may need to change my offense and or defense, and this will give you that ability. All right. Now let me jump back on this whole thing about DNF percentage. The next issue I want to discuss is human versus CPU. In NBA 2K11 crew mode, the CPU players was dumbed down, and I think it was intentional. It was done that way so you couldn't rely on your CPU teammates to carry you to a victory. And I like that. I enjoyed that. And I'm okay with this as well. I don't know what is going to be moving forward, but NBA 2K13 Blacktop, the CPU players are the polar opposite. They have magnetic hands, and apparently the basketball is metal. They get every loose ball, they get the bulk of the rebounds, and if they got a great look at the shot, they're going to knock it down. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with that as well. But if crew mode is going to have these type of CPU players, some things has got to be changed. First thing you got to do is penalize quitters. Now in part 1, I was talking about having something like, for lack of a better term, a crew account. Let's say you win a crew game, maybe each individual player get, I don't know, 30 to 50 VC, and the team will get 150 for playing the game, maybe 200 for winning. So you could possibly leave out of there with 200 VC for your team, 30 to 50 for you, and the thing is, this is the VC you would use to spend to customize your uniforms, upgrade your arena and whatnot. If you guys quit, I think the team account should take a hit. I think you should lose VC if your team quits, because quitting changes the game and it's unfair to the guys to staying in the game, especially if they got to guard these CPU players that's going to get all the loose balls, rebounds, and make all their shots. It's unfair to the guys. While we're on that mode, we need to also address inactivity. Kick people for inactivity. If somebody gets in the game and they're trying to do that crap where they just get in the game, drop the controller and walk off to earn easy VC, kick their asses out of the game. That's unfair to their teammates, it's unfair to their opponents, it's unfair to everybody but him for earning easy VC. Same thing would happen in Call of Duty. If you went out there and just set the controller down and walked off, when you came back, you would be kicked. Same thing should, be here, all right? So now I think I can actually get on some things gameplay wise. NBA 2K11, I'll say it to the death of me probably. It was one of the most fluent basketball titles I ever played, even online. If you had a decent connection and you played against a crew that had a decent connection, it was a very fluent game. So I don't have many complaints. Most of my complaints gameplay wise come from the things that people exploited. And this is tough for 2K because this list is gonna change. When people find out one thing that they could do to exploit the game doesn't work, they're just gonna find another exploit. And this is a revolving door. 2K has to continue to work on what are people abusing, how can we fix it. This thing never stops. It never stops. And to counter that, you guys kind of gotta have like an eye in the sky, for lack of a better term. You guys gotta have some guys to get out here in crew mode and just see what guys are doing. And I think they do a good job of surfing YouTube and watching videos. So just see, help us keep that under control. I purposely found a video with a guy doing some pump fake stuff here. I don't have a problem with that. The pump fake is a part of basketball. It's a strategic part of basketball, and it's a big part of a game. So I'm okay with it if a guy gets me with it a couple times. What I'm not okay with, the guys that would continually tap pump fake while holding toward the basket. If they picked the dribble up and they kept pumping the pump fake button while holding toward the basket, if a defender jumped, it automatically launched them into the defender. And that's cheesy. That's cheesy as hell. In fact, if you're pumping the pump fake button and you're holding toward the basket, then you should be moving toward the basket, which we all know is traveling. So help the defender out a little bit. Don't let these guys cheese so often. I'm very interested in seeing how the dribble stick is going to play out in crew mode. I know in my career it's linked to your stamina to keep you from just abusing it. Make sure that weighs in heavy with crew so it doesn't get abused. And the last thing I want to leave you with before I close this video is the charge guide. If you want to stop a fast break, you get in the paint, you set up for the charge and you get it, great. But just standing in the paint the whole time trying to draw a charge is super cheesy. Somehow or another, we got to take that out of there. And that's all I got for this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Rainmaker.